Hello, today I'm going to be talking about President Trump's foreign policy. Let's begin. Hello, welcome to Global Nationalism. I am a global nationalist. I support nationalism in my country, India, and in all countries around the globe. Today I'm going to be talking about nationalism in the country outside South Asia. That country is the United States of America. And I wonder who I could be talking about when I talk about America. Obviously, there's only one person that the world talks about with respect to that country. It's their president, Donald Trump. The world has been talking about him for the last 10 years, and we'll be talking about it for many more years to come. Anyway, so he's been president once again. Welcome back, Mr. Trump, Mr. President Trump. And he has given out his foreign policy. He has taken some actions that help us understand what his foreign policy is going to be like, and I want to analyze them to see how nationalism influences his foreign policy and give my opinions on how I think how the quality of that those policy positions are. So without further ado, let's get started. First, he has spoken about taking over the Panama Canal. The Panama Canal is a canal built by the United States in the early 1900s in the country of Panama. And throughout the 20th century, the United States, with increasing Panamanian animosity, controlled the canal zone. Increased tensions perpetuated by the stark difference between US controlled canal zone life and that outside the zone led to demonstrations in 1964 that turned violent and resulted in the deaths of both Panamanians and US Marines. This incident sparked new interest across administrations to resolve tensions around the canal, which came to the fore during the presidency of Jimmy Carter, who entered office seeking a new beginning with Latin America. In 1977, Carter came to an agreement with Panama on a transition for the canal joint administration until 1999, at which point Panama would fully take over the canal. Among other things, a permanent neutrality treaty requires efficient canal operation transit fees that are just, reasonable, equitable, and consistent with international law, and neutrality of the canal. So, this is the conditions under which the canal was given to Panama in 1977. So let me see now what Trump's issue is with the canal. In his typical uh, manner of speaking, he says, "We have been treated very badly from this foolish gift that should never have been made, and Panama's promise to us has been broken." That promise is the conditions I spoke about: neutrality, fees, and efficient canal operation. He says that that American ships are being overcharged and not treated fairly in violation of the treaty that the United States and Panama have regarding the canal. Is that the case? The Panama Canal Authority, which manages the canal, charges fees based on the size and type of the ships that are using the waterway. Recently, natural factors like decreased water levels have started to affect the canal's ability to support ships. As a result, in a normal supply and demand way, the pricing structure of the canal has also shifted. There is no evidence of the Panama overcharging and unfairly treating US ships. The rates are uniform, impartial, and non discriminatory, and they apply to all ships regardless of their nationality. What affects the pricing are factors like ship dimensions and design, the type of cargo it carries, and additional loading or unloading that will take place at the ports. Trump's big issue is that China has too much influence sort of over the Panama Canal. What exactly is China's involvement with the canal, and should the United States be concerned about it? Latin America is seeking options for infrastructure investment, and Chinese companies are leaning into those opportunities across the region, which they have a right to do so, both on Panama's side and China's side. That in itself is not, in my opinion, an act of aggression against the United States. There are, and Beijing is not operating the Panama Canal, it's still operated by the Panamanian government. There are five ports adjacent to the canal. Hong Kong listed Hutchinson Whampoa operates two of them, and Hutchinson Whampoa has operated its two ports since 1997. And the China Harbor Engineering Company launched the cruise terminal in 2024. China Harbor is also building a new bridge over the canal. That project is still underway. Now, on the face of it, these are just infrastructure development projects by Chinese companies. And these are not, as far as I know, controlled and owned by the Chinese government. However, there are concerns when Chinese companies acquire strategic port assets. Beijing could use these ports to position military assets, both overt and covert, near strategic targets in a future military crisis. Since entities affiliated with China operate ports on both ends of the canal, they could potentially slow or even block US and other Western traffic as a coercion tactic. There's also an information gathering risk, as PRC port companies can track the goods flowing through them and pass that information on to Beijing. So I understand that this is potentially a threat to the US, and since they view China as an enemy, if not a rival, uh, if the, it makes sense to not allow Panama government to give China influence over the canal. But again, these are peaceful actions. They could be used for military purposes, but that does not mean that they would be. Another issue is Greenland. Uh, Trump has questioned Denmark's legal rights to Greenland, stating people don't really know if Denmark has any legal rights to Greenland. He has said that Greenland should come back to America. Not come back, but should be a part of America. Here is the facts about the legality of Denmark having Greenland. Here is the contemporary status of Greenland and right to self determination. Greenland was a colony of Denmark, where indigenous people lived. It was transitioned from a colony to a self-governing territory. Its colonial status was abolished in 1953 when it became an integral part of the Kingdom of Denmark. In 1979, Greenland was granted home rule, which allowed for a greater degree of autonomy. This self-governance was further expanded in 2009 under the Act on Greenland self-government, granting Greenland control over key domestic matters, including its natural resources. Denmark retained responsibility for foreign affairs, defense, and security policy. But Greenland's government, Naalakkersuisut, gained the authority to engage in international relations on matters exclusively concerning Greenland's domestic jurisdiction, as outlined in Chapter 4 of the Act. So, the people of Greenland uh, have home rule, but they have the right to get self determination under international law. And Denmark is responsible for their foreign affairs and defense. This legal framework allows Greenland to pursue independence through a democratic process if its people so choose. Let's see what people are saying in opinion polls about joining the United States. A firm called Patriot Polling, which is in my, I think, an American poll, surveyed 416 people residing across the Danish territory of Greenland on their support for joining the USA. 57.3% approved, 37.4% disapproved. So we can see that there is support of for becoming a part of the US. And here's a poll by Greenlandic media Sermitsiak, excuse me for the pronunciation, and Danish newspaper Berlingsk also shows that 84% of Greenlanders want their homeland. However, they differ on what kind of independence they want. 45% say they only want independence if it does not have a negative impact on their standard of living. And only 9% say they do not want Greenlandic independence. So you can see independence is popular amongst Greenlanders. And however, the poll also shows that 85% of Greenlanders reject leaving the Danish realm to join the US and 9% do not know. And so, yeah, we can see two polls showing different results. This shows that, and this poll was also done with a survey of around 400 people. So we can see that there is support for joining America and uh, people against it. So it is a topic that will be debated in Greenland. It's not yet settled. And then Trump has pressured Canada to meet his US demands. He said that he would apply economic force to pressure Canada into becoming the 51st state of the US, an idea he has mentioned multiple times recently. Trump argued that the US subsidizes Canada and can do without its products such as cars and milk. During a press conference, the incoming president criticized Mexico, accusing the country of exploiting the US in trade and being plagued by significant issues, particularly violence tied to drug gangs. We have a massive deficit with Mexico and we help Mexico a lot. They're essentially run by the cartels and we can't let that happen. And he has vowed to take a tougher stance against Mexico and Canada in his second term. And a few days ago, before this making of this video, he did raise tariffs against both countries. So these are some of the parts of his um, foreign policy. What can we make of this? So basically, his foreign policy is going to be focused mainly on the Western Hemisphere. Uh, as far as this expansionist uh, positions he's taken, I hope he does that peacefully. I'm pretty sure, 99% sure, he'll be peaceful about it. And I think he'll find some good resolution with between both the countries, Greenland, Panama, and Canada included. So yeah, that's how I view it, and that's all I have to say. I am just glad that the Orange Man is back in office, and yeah, that's all. Please share your thoughts in the comment section. If you want to see other videos about nationalism in a country outside South Asia, click here. If you want to see my previous video, click here. If you want to see the sources I used for this video, click the links in the description below. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.